She has a diary in her hand. The girl has a lot of acne and is considered ugly according to society. She talks about how she's gotten evicted from her apartment since it's getting demolished. She doesn't take it very seriously, thinking it's just life, and walks away, hoping for a better life. She goes to her aunt's restaurant to help out but gets yelled at for picking her nose. She composes herself and goes back to work when she gets called by a cute boy with glasses. She's instantly infatuated by his innocent and charming appearance. The boy doesn't seem to care much and asks her for the time. The girl, whose name is Aya, blabbers gibberish because she's flustered and in love with the boy. Her aunt soon comes up and asks her to lock the boy out since he hasn't ordered anything and seems to just be chilling there. Aya doesn't want to do so and comes up with excuses, but her aunt doesn't even bother listening to her. She orders her to kick the boy out and walks away while glaring at the boy's shocked face. After her strict aunt leaves, Aya profusely apologizes to him, and that's when he confesses that he had been stood up by his date, and he didn't want to bother them. Aya feels really bad as the boy gets up in a very disheartening way. He seems to be upset and frustrated at the situation. He walks out soon, and Aya can't help but wonder more about him. At night, she sees the same guy sitting on the street. He looks as if he's already given up on life. She quickly approaches him and asks him what's wrong. The guy, whose name happens to be Chad, looks at her and then asks her to have ice cream with him. Aya pretends to deny it at first as she doesn't want to seem desperate, and then agrees sheepishly. The two go to an ice cream parlor, where Chad tells her that he had been courting a girl for a whole year since he liked her so much, but she never paid any heed to him. Aya sympathizes with him and tells him about how she became an orphan at 14, and has no one in her life. Chad offers his condolences and proposes to her right away. This shocks her. Aya threatens him with pepper spray and tells him to back off, saying she's not a tramp. He laughs and tells her it's just a joke and starts calling her Peppy because of the spray. Aya leaves soon after. The next day, she starts going to her new expensive college. All the girls there seem posh and make fun of her, because she's poor and could only afford college due to her scholarship. Suddenly, she gets hit by a ball and faints on the spot. As it turns out, it was none other than Chad who had hit her. He instantly recognizes her and rushes her to the infirmary. She comes to her senses soon and runs away, saying she's fine, as she's really embarrassed. But she's really clumsy and falls face first on the stairs yet again. Another handsome guy sees her and calls her ugly, but Aya doesn't care. She's fascinated by his beauty and talks to him in a cute voice before running away yet again. After college, she goes to her aunt's cafe and starts writing everything down in her diary. She spends the night there since she has no place to live and goes job hunting early the next morning. She even goes around looking for rooms to rent. She begs a man for a job, and he finally agrees. He tells her she can't be sensitive if she wants to do the job, and she readily agrees. Eventually, she ends up getting a job at a very extravagant mansion. She is very excited to work there. A bunch of maids comes out to escort her into the mansion. She has no idea that she is working for the elite Sanford family. She gets warned by the maids that 20 maids before her have already resigned and they wish her all the very best. She's very confused by this but soon gets greeted by Mr. Sanford. He tells her that his son is a very difficult person to handle and she has to take care of him all the time and make sure he attends all his classes at school. He himself calls his son a monster and a pain. Aya is hesitant about the job at first but then instantly agrees when she hears about her really high salary and other free facilities like lodging and fooding. She thinks the job is easy as she just has to take care of a boy, but little does she know, she's going to have a roller coaster of an experience. As soon as she enters the house, she sees Mr. Sanford's son screaming and throwing a whole tantrum. He insults his father but then Aya stops him. She introduces herself as his personal maid. The guy, Cross, goes on to insult Aya as well and threatens her to get out but she's not a quitter. She promises to straighten him up. One night, he comes home drunk and starts fighting with Aya. She drags him into his room where he passes out. He's half naked so Aya tries to wake him up but he grabs her and tries to kiss her in the process. Aya pushes him away but Cross ends up puking all over her and goes back to sleep. She storms out of his room. Aya goes to college the next day, still pissed off at Cross. She then meets a beautiful girl at the college grounds named Lori, a half-British transferee who has a huge crush on Cross Sanford. Aya is about to tell her about her job to basically babysit Cross, but the bell rings and Lori rushes to her class. The two immediately became best friends. Later on, the mean girls come towards Aya to bully her, but start swooning as soon as Cross comes near them. Cross starts talking to Aya and the mean girls get really jealous because of how close she and Cross are, not knowing that Aya works for him. She doesn't intend on telling them either, as she is really satisfied seeing the jealous looks on their faces. Aya goes to a stationery mart to get all the materials Cross needs, but soon realizes that he never gave her any money and she's completely run out. She starts to panic but just then Chad steps in and pays for everything for her. She even lends her some money for the cab home. In return, he asks you to help him whenever he needs and she readily agrees. She goes home and dumps everything in front of Cross and yells at him for not giving her the money. He doesn't care and just hands her all the money she spent. This frustrates her and she screams at him once more before going away. The next day, all the mean girls gang up on Aya and threaten her to stay away from Cross. She doesn't agree and tells them she's just friendly but then the girls start harassing her. Just then, Lori steps in and yells at them to go away and saves Aya. She asks Aya if she's actually dating Cross, to which Aya makes a disgusting face and declines. This calms Lori down and she admits that she's had a crush on Cross since kindergarten. Aya teases Lori and she blushes. After college, Aya and Chad go to a store to help him get some dresses for his crush. Aya models the dress for him to see. They go for lunch and Chad reveals that he's spent a ton of money to get lots of gifts for his crush. Aya is confused to see how much he loves the girl who clearly has no interest in him. He calls her Peppy as her nickname and even reassures her that she's beautiful. He's a really sweet guy and even invites her to a huge party happening soon. Aya agrees to go, but as they're talking, she accidentally farts. This embarrasses her a lot and she runs away. At home, she gets called by Cross. They start to quarrel for a while until he asks her to come with him to the same party that Chad had also invited. Before the party, Aya accompanies Cross to a photo shoot as he's a model. She's stunned to see all the people bustling around and for a moment, she gets amazed by Cross' attractive body. She even forgets about her cell phone ringing loudly, which makes the cameraman really angry. He yells at her and smashes her phone, which makes her really scared. The cameraman is about to kick her out, but Cross stops him. Aya is really upset because her phone is completely broken and Cross feels bad about it. Aya apologizes to him and even thanks him for saving her. He doesn't care and just tells her to go and rest after dealing with his errands. The two do not get along at all, but Aya never gives up, even if Cross' attitude is getting on her nerves. The two always fight. That's when she nicknamed him Monster. After dealing with Chad, she goes to Lori's house and they chat for a bit. Lori tells her she really likes her as a friend. She invites you to her birthday just like Chad and Cross, and Aya happily agrees. She loves that she has a best friend now. At college, Aya is really clumsy and just gets yelled at by everyone. The mean girls gang up on her again and they get into a huge fight. Just then, Cross gets in the middle and stops them. Cross shocks Aya when he says to the girls that she is his girlfriend. This stuns everyone and the mean girls faint on the spot. Aya asks Cross what that was for. Cross then reveals that he only said that so the girls will annoy her more. Aya yells at him for being such an asshole, but he just laughs and walks away. At the cafeteria, all the girls glare at Aya with anger and jealousy. They think she's done some sort of black magic on Cross. Just then, Lori comes up to Aya and asks her if the rumor is true. Aya adamantly denies that rumor and finally admits the truth to Lori, that she is just his personal maid. That's why they're always together. She even adds Cross is simply just a monster and a very difficult person. In the afternoon, Chad comes up to Aya and asks her for help. The mean girls see her close to both Cross and Chad. They're shocked and think she's dating both of them. They can't believe their eyes as the two most popular guys are after her and start stalking her. They spot Aya and Chad at the parking lot where he pranks her and laughs. The mean girls observe their proximity and how they're almost touching each other. They rush back to the college to tell all this to Chad, thinking he'll break up with her. At the parking lot, Chad begs Aya for help and calls her his best friend. Turns out, his crush is none other than Lori. He's really excited and bought all those gifts for her birthday. He invites Aya back to his home to discuss his plan to woo Lori at her birthday party. Aya feels bad because Lori only likes Cross, but she can't say all this to Chad. He asks her to help him make Lori wear the ring he's bought so that he can propose to her. Aya hesitantly agrees and Chad excitedly hugs her and thanks her profusely. At Lori's party, Cross and Aya enter the party. She soon meets Cross's best friend, Ian, who tells her Cross has been acting out ever since his mother died. Aya feels bad but also thinks he's overreacting because she's an orphan but never acted so rashly. She goes to the party and starts stuffing her face with all the delicious food there. That's when Chad finds her and hands her the ring. Aya takes it and starts looking for Lori but can't find it anywhere. She finally ends up finding her, but just then, someone pushes her and the ring falls out of her hand. The lights go off right at that moment and Aya can't seem to find the ring. Aya and Lori both start looking around for the ring, which gets kicked around by everyone at the party. Finally, the ring lands at a mystery person's feet. The room is then lit dark and Chad instinctively takes the mystery person's hand. He admits his true feelings and even goes on to say how he knows Lori loves someone else, but he could prove to be a much better boyfriend. The place is suddenly lit up and the mysterious person is none other than Cross and not Lori. Chad gets really embarrassed as everyone sees Chad bent on one knee in front of Cross. He storms out and Aya follows behind. Chad gets really mad at Aya because of their plan not working. He blames Aya for ruining everything because Aya was supposed to give the ring to Lori. Aya feels really guilty about this but can't really do anything now. The next day, she's at her aunt's cafe when she jerks up after a nightmare. Her aunt calls her crazy and asks her to handle herself since she's an orphan. This annoys Aya and she walks away. On her way, she meets Ian, who hands her a gift for taking good care of Cross. She accepts it and thanks him but sees that he's already gone. She gladly takes the gift and goes to her college. There she runs into Chad, who tries to talk to her but she tells him she's busy. She walks away and stumbles upon Cross. He asks her why she's in such haste and she tells her that she saw a ghost. Cross' face goes pale and he asks her more about the ghost. Aya jokes about the ghost of a student in the student council room. Cross tells her that he actually has a meeting in that room and asks her to come along. She She declines, but he's adamant. Later at night, Cross and his friends meet up at the student council room to brainstorm some ideas for their school's annual fair. They spend a lot of time discussing ideas and eventually, everyone starts leaving. Cross tries to get them to stay but ends up being alone in the room. He acts really strong but is actually really scared. He tries to call Aya but she doesn't pick up. Soon, he starts hearing eerie voices and hides between the lockers. Cross actually is really scared of ghosts and believes to have seen one in the student council room when Aya joked about it before. Soon, a hand pops out and turns off the light, which makes Cross tremble with fear. He crouches down and calls for Aya quietly. The light is switched off secretly by Aya to scare him. Aya soon comes in with the flashlight to her face while making weird noises, trying to scare Cross. Cross sees the back of Aya's head and thinks she's the ghost. He comes out and bumps Aya on the head. Outside, the guard locks the door, believing that no one is in the room because the light isn't switched on. Cross realizes the ghost is none other than Aya and tries to wake her up after they both fall on the floor. She wakes up and calls him a coward, to which Cross replies that she's fired. Aya just rolls her eyes, saying she can only get fired when his father tells so. They try to go out but soon realize that the door is locked and they can't call the guard because of their phones being useless. They both hear weird sounds and actually think there's a ghost and try hiding. The two stay in the room together and Cross asks her about her parents. She tells him about her parents' death, to which he reveals that his mother died when he was just a kid in a horrific plane crash. Both of them feel bad for one another and end up sleeping on each other's shoulders. The next morning, they're awakened by the guard who shooed them away. They go back home and Cross asks Aya to make him a big sign for the school fair. Aya tries to watch the TV for a while but Cross doesn't let her and forces her to make him the big sign. This angers Aya and she starts acting like a ghost, which really scares the shit out of Cross. He yells at her to stop but she starts pretending that there's a ghost in the room. Cross gets really scared and hides behind her. Aya laughs at him and calls him a coward. Cross orders Aya to stay in his room and make the sign while he sleeps, and Aya grumpily agrees. She glares at Chad and wonders about the love triangle of Lori, Chad, and Cross. She completes the sign and goes to sleep. The next morning, Aya sees that Cross has left early. She goes to the bathroom only to find out that Cross actually scribbled all over her face. She screams out in frustration because it's not going away. Finally, she gets rid of the ink and goes to college. There, Chad and Aya repair their friendship again. Aya finally stops ignoring him as she is frightened that he'll get mad at her again. But Chad tells her that he's not and just wants his friend back. Aya goes back home all giddy because Chad let her borrow his shirt. Her mood gets worse as soon as she enters Cross' room and laughs at her. She yells at him for scribbling on her face, but Chad doesn't care. Getting sick of his attitude, Aya runs up to him and tries to choke him in his room, when she later discovers that he's got fever due to his high body temperature. Aya then takes care of him the entire time and even makes him soup. He throws up soon enough and she helps through it. At one point, Cross removes his shirt to reveal his perfectly sculpted abs, which makes her quietly squeal and blush. At night, Aya finds out that Cross' condition has just worsened, so she eventually gets him to go to the hospital. Cross' father requests Aya to stay with her because he needs company, to which she replies that Cross actually doesn't want her there. Mr. Sanford just tells her that Cross likes to act as if he doesn't need anyone, when in fact he does. They go into Cross' hospital room and Cross gets visibly annoyed to see Aya. Mr. Sanford tells him that she's staying with him until he gets better and walks away. Soon after, his friends come and check up on him. Ian and Aya go to the cafeteria to get snacks for everyone, and that's when Ian tells her that she's the perfect match for Cross. He tells her that Cross is actually really kind and might even like her little. Aya just scoffs at that. In the hospital room, Cross makes Aya keep the lights on. Much to his fear, he sees a shadow outside the room, thus making him scared again, and tells Aya to sleep beside him. Aya grumpily agrees after Cross basically begs her. She tries to sleep beside him, but just then, the door opens, and Cross immediately sits up, making Aya fall off the bed. A nurse comes in and looks at them suspiciously before reminding them that they're in the hospital room, not a hotel. Later on, when they're both sleeping, Aya hears Cross having a dream about his mother. She hears him call out for his mother and feels bad for him. Aya then sits up and rubs Cross' forehead, signaling him that everything will be okay. The next day at college, Aya tries to get Chad to talk to Lori, but Lori runs away as soon as she sees Chad. This makes him heartbroken as Lori has been avoiding him ever since the birthday party. Aya feels sorry for Chad but soon follows Lori, who takes her to a beauty parlor. The parlor owner thinks Aya is actually her maid, but Lori corrects them. The two are then treated like absolute princesses. Aya is new to all this and doesn't know what to expect. She's given a complete makeover and soon starts relaxing into it. Aya's pimples decrease and her hair is beautifully washed and curled. Aya is shocked to see her own self, and Lori is really happy to see Aya look so gorgeous. When paying, Aya asks why she needed to go to the parlor as well, to which Lori replies they have a masquerade ball. Aya is confused since the masquerade ball involves wearing a mask, so there's no need for the beauty treatment. Lori tells her that she believes that whoever she's going to be dancing with at midnight is the person who she'll spend her life with. Aya thinks it's corny, but Lori is really excited because she wants her midnight dance partner to be Cross. Aya then discovers that Lori likes Cross since kindergarten because when she was just a transferee, she used to get bullied a lot, and Cross was her knight and shining armor who stood up to the bullies and helped her. At college, Chad is shocked to see Aya look so beautiful. He compliments her on it, but the mean girls accuse her of plastic surgery. She calls them brainless instead and walks away. She goes with Chad to his apartment where Chad bakes special cupcakes just for Lori. He asks Aya to give them to her and she gladly agrees. Aya takes the cupcakes back home and puts the cupcakes in the fridge, when one of the maids gets scared thinking she's a thief. None of the maids recognize her and the other maids are shocked by Aya because she is now prettier. They ask her for the secrets and she just stares at them dumbfounded. One of them tells Aya to quickly go to Cross' room because he's looking for her. When she's up there, she starts flipping her hair and showing off her new look, but Cross doesn't even notice it, so she gives up. Cross tells her to pick up every crumbled paper she finds on his table and throw it away. Aya grumpily agrees and Cross finally gives up and admits the truth. He tells her that Aya is beautiful and looks really good. Aya is surprised and accidentally puts a paper in her mouth out of excitement. At the Sanford kitchen, Cross looks for Aya because he is hungry, but when no sign comes in, he eats the cupcakes that Aya had placed in the fridge. Cross delightfully eats the cupcakes made by Chad for Lori. When Aya comes in, she panics and tries to stop Cross from eating the cupcakes, but it's too late. He tells her that he can eat anything as long as it's in his house. Cross just tells her to buy new cupcakes and Aya tells him that it isn't bought. It's special to give to a special person. Aya then grabs a broom and starts hitting Cross. Cross asks her if she's really trying to put him to eternal sleep for cupcakes, and she furiously replies that she will. He also grabs a broom and they both start fighting. They try to hit one another with the brooms they have and run around the whole house. One of the maids even comes out and tries to stop them, but she can't. Cross tries to stop her saying they're just cupcakes, but Aya continues screaming that she'll eliminate him. She hits him on and on again when suddenly, they hear clapping. Mr. Sanford nods and asks Cross to come to his office. He asks Cross what happened, but Cross says it's nothing. Mr. Sanford tells him that he'll only let Cross leave once he tells him what actually happened, to which Cross replies that it's just about some stupid cupcakes. Mr. Sanford gets angry at his response, and complains about how he's a spoiled brat because he has everything. He puts Cross in place when he asks him what he'll do when someone finds his picture with his mother, and rips or throws it out. Cross feels guilty about it and Mr. Sanford asks him to apologize for it. Cross agrees and goes outside while thinking about his relationship with Aya from the day they met. He thinks of all the ways she has helped him and how she's stuck with him for so long. Aya is at her aunt's restaurant when she is assigned to a table. There, she sees Cross sitting, and tells her that he wants to speak to her. Aya curtly refuses but is soon stopped by her aunt who tells her to agree, because he paid her $5,000 just to talk to her. Aya sits down having no other choice and stares at him when Cross feeds her. Aya is shocked by this gesture but Cross tells her that he's just trying to be nice. Not knowing it was chili pepper, Aya gobbles it down, and soon her whole mouth burns. She stands up immediately and asks for water, but Cross then puts vinegar in an empty glass and gives it to her. Aya mistakenly drinks it and spits it out. She yells at Cross for treating her so badly. He doesn't know what to say and tells her to come with him, but Aya tells him she has already resigned and got him to get out. Cross immediately apologizes to her, which shocks her, and she asks again just to make sure. When Cross apologizes again, she rolls her eyes and asks if he could do it sincerely. Cross said sorry once again, and much more sincerely this time. She's silent for a while but then accepts his apology and they both get out of the restaurant. Her aunt gets furious because Aya left the restaurant again. At college, Cross tells her that he's forgotten his planner. He asks her to stay right there until he gets back and she agrees. But just then, a large van pulls up and grabs her. She gets kidnapped and screams loudly. She's finally brought to an old place where the kidnappers, who seem a lot like the mean girls from college, ask her to shut up. The mean girls got help from the guys who are jealous of Cross just to kidnap her and get even with Cross. They all plan to get revenge and call Cross, but he just hangs up on them before they can even tell him about Aya. Aya continues screaming until she hears Chad calling out for her. The kidnappers start meowing to distract Chad, but he finds her nonetheless. He fights them all and successfully saves her. They go back to his house where he offers her some snacks and tells her that Lori has rejected him and asked him not to chase her because she only loves Cross. This makes Chad really insecure, but Aya consoles him saying he's way better than Cross. Chad cries quietly and Aya hugs him saying it's all right. Chad is so sweet that Aya wants to ask him out, but she knows that they're just in a platonic relationship. At night, Aya sees a very weird dream of Cross trying to strike her and Chad coming to the rescue. But then, instead of making sure she's fine, the two actually try to make out. Aya screams in her sleep and the maids come in. They perform an exorcism on her and she screams even louder. As it turns out, this whole ordeal was a nightmare. Aya jerks awake and sees a letter from Cross along with the same cupcakes that he had eaten. Aya smiles at this and thinks that he has really changed. When Aya is visiting her parents' tomb, she sees a shadow and it turns out to be Cross. It suddenly starts raining and they both seek shelter under a building. She asks if he's stalking her, but Cross reveals that his mother is buried at the same place. Aya sees Cross crying and he admits that he misses his mom. And that's probably why he's self-destructive. He is angry at the world and wants everyone to be miserable just like he is. Aya starts sneezing, so Cross removes his jacket and puts it on her. He then takes off his shirt to give Aya his body heat and hugs her. She hesitantly agrees but is really excited internally to hug him back. At the school fair, Aya runs into Ian, who tells her that Lori and Cross are talking in a room together. Ian tells her that he locked the two up in a room so that Lori could express her feelings to Cross. Ian and Aya go to the room so that they can listen to Lori and Cross's conversation. Lori and Cross talk and Lori admits that she's in love with him, but he says he's in a relationship with Aya. Lori tells him that she knows the truth about the fake relationship, but Cross insists and tells her it's true. Aya and Ian finally go into the room and Lori asks Aya if it's true. Aya stays silent, which hurts her, so she starts tearing up and gets out of the basement. Ian follows her to comfort her. Aya then asks Cross why he said that, to which Cross replies that he only said it as he couldn't think of anything else to make Lori stop liking him. Aya asks if he really doesn't like her, and Cross gets confused. He admits that he has never liked Lori more than a friend. Aya smiles and is happy as she thought Cross was against Team Lorhad, which is a ship name for Lori and Chad. On the second day of the school fair, Cross calls Aya while she's in the haunted house dressed up as a ghost. He tells her to go to the church and Aya gets confused at his sudden order. She agrees and finds him near the church, where she decides to scare him for a good laugh. Cross gets annoyed but tells her his plan nonetheless. He tells her that if she wants to get Team Lorhad together, then they should get married at the wedding stall to convince them. At the stall, they're both getting married in a fake arrangement. At the end of the ceremony, when they're kissing, Lori sees them both and runs off to cry. She's deeply hurt by this. Chad sees her and tries to comfort her. He even tells her she can use him as a tissue and throw him away, and he won't mind as long as he's useful to her. Lori tells Chad it hurts to see Aya and Cross as a couple. Chad pulls her into a hug and comforts her, and Lori allows him. She cries in his arms and Chad just lets her. Aya sees them both hugging and crying and becomes emotional too. Cross comes up to her and tells her that she's overreacting. On the third day of the school fair, Lori comes to the haunted house to speak with Aya. When she sees that Aya is scaring people off, she walks off to them and tells them that they're overreacting. The people then run off to get scared somewhere else. Lori asks Aya if she is in love with Cross. Aya says yes, as that's the only way Lori would try to reciprocate Chad's feelings. Lori admits that she got hurt, but it also made her realize that she's waiting for someone who will never like her back, and it's therefore giving Chad a chance. Aya tells her that it's a really good idea, and finally, Lori asks Aya to take care of Cross. Aya agrees and they become friends again. At the masquerade ball, the dance starts and everyone starts to enjoy themselves. Chad and Aya partnered up, while Lori with Cross. Later on, at midnight, Chad and Lori are the ones dancing together, and Aya is with a mysterious guy. The guy tells her that he's going crazy and that he's never felt something like this before. He also asks if she could ever love someone she used to hate. He finally confesses that he wants to do the right thing and tells her that he likes her. When she's about to take off his mask, he runs off. Aya is disgruntled to hear all this. She starts searching for the guy. The search actually ends up being the male version of Cinderella. Soon, Aya gets a call from Adrian, her classmate, who admits that he is the mystery guy from the masquerade ball. Aya gets excited and agrees to meet up with him. Later on, she gets another call again from Adrian asking to meet up. Aya agrees and gets a call from Adrian again to meet soon, but before she answers, she gets a call from Cross. He asks her to meet him in the student council room. Aya refuses and speaks to Adrian again, agreeing to meet up with him. She screams at the top of her lungs because no one has ever liked her before. Cross watches her as she gets all giddy and excited about her date. Later on, she finally meets him and tells herself that someone will finally like her. When they come face to face, Aya smiles as she thinks he's very handsome, but just then, Cross comes in and interferes. Aya gets annoyed because this moment is a once-in-a-lifetime for her. Cross asks Adrian if he really is the guy that Aya danced with at the ball. Adrian agrees and asks if Cross has any doubts. Cross replies that he does, and that's when Adrian gives up. He admits that Ian just made him do this because everyone knows it was Cross who confessed his feelings at the ball. They wanted Cross to feel jealous and confess the truth. Adrian leaves soon. At first, Aya doesn't want to believe it, saying the voice doesn't even match, but Cross reminds her about the rain when they were both at the cemetery, and says that he caught a cold. Cross hands Aya her diary, saying he didn't want it laying around the house. He asks her to read the last page of the book. That's where he has truly admitted his feelings for her. Aya